Hey everybody, welcome to my channel and welcome to part 6, I believe, of What If Deku Was Horse Hands. If you guys haven't seen the update on my channel, it's just a brief over of what's going to be happening in the future. I'll just give a brief explanation right now. For after tonight, there's only going to be about 2, maybe 3 videos, if lucky, being posted. The stress of doing and recording like 7 to 8 videos and posting them one after another is kind of getting to my head. So sorry if your part doesn't come out tomorrow night or tonight. In fact, I'm just gonna be very busy. So sorry. Let's get on with it. Last we left off, we had Deku, Toga, and Monica got captured by these teachers in the facility and were put in a dorm in UA in the rehabilitation program. We cut to them in their room, sitting down on the couch, and then they're just watching TV, like they usually did, but Monica's in the kitchen getting a drink as Toga's just sitting in the bedroom, just staring at the ceiling, just thinking. As Deku hears a knock at the front door, he walks over and he opens the door as he sees a couple of the UA students, and those students are Uraraka, Kirishima, Bakugo, Todoroki, and Mineta. Why not? So as Deku was letting them in, Monica came out, and she was just wearing a t-shirt and some shorts, and she came out of the kitchen asking who it was. As Mineta started perving out, all the other students started backing away from Mineta as they all look at Deku and they see his eyes flare up. Deku, taking offense to that, was about to kill Mineta whenever the shocker went off, pumping 5,000 volts into his body, calming him down, as he would just go back to the couch and sit down. But he would still keep an eye on Mineta. The other students just talking as Mineta would sneak off into another room, which the other room was the girls' room, and of course Mineta was going through their stuff. As Deku walked into there to see, because he was looking for Mineta, because he lost sight of him for a minute. So Deku was teleporting through each of the rooms because the caller didn't catch it as a quirk. It caught it more like movement, so he could teleport around. But he couldn't leave the campus. So Deku was teleporting around in the dorm room, going through each of the rooms, until he found Mineta going through Toga's and Monica's underwear drawer. As he left weapons in their room just in case, because they were able to sneak him through somehow. And Deku would pick up one of those weapons, raising it above Mineta, stabbing him in the back, and leaving Mineta to bleed out on the floor. Bakugo did catch a glimpse of this, peeking through the door, as Bakugo would just kind of speed walk to the kitchen just to act normal. Deku would teleport into another room over and then just walk out, acting like he just came out of that room. And Monica and Toga asked him where he was. Deku would pull them close to him, and he would tell Toga and Monica to go clean up the mess he left in their room. There was a little incident. They kind of understood what he was talking about, so they grabbed a mop and some bags, and they're like, "We'll be back. We had a little incident in our room." Bakugo knew exactly what they were talking about and would follow them to see Bakugo telling everyone else to stay there and talk with Deku, just in case. And they would do so, and Deku kept his eye on Bakugo now. As Bakugo, Monica, and Toga went into their room to clean up the mess, they asked Bakugo why he's helping. Bakugo would say that he knows that he shouldn't be doing this, but something just... I didn't really like that kid, Mineta, but still, this is pretty far. But you know what? I'm gonna help anyways, so keep this on the down low. They all kept this a little secret, and they would move on. After they're done cleaning, they would come out to the living room to find Deku, Kirishima, Uraraka, Todoroki, and a couple others just sitting on the couch watching TV. And when you guys wanted Todoroki in this ship as well, I can do that in another what if, but not this one. The Toga ship is already set from part 3. Sorry, whoever commented it, but it will definitely be in another ship, or another what if. How's that sound? Anyways, as Deku was just laying down there sleeping, everyone got a little alert on their phone saying that they have to go for training and to tell the others to come too. They all did so, and they all got to the training grounds. When they were about to take the collar off of Toga, or when they took the collar off Toga and Monica, they were asking why Deku's collar isn't coming off. Aizawa said that if he takes off that collar, he's gonna go AWOL and kill everyone, so it's staying on. Deku getting furious as he tries ripping the collar off, as 10,000 plus volts are being shocked through his system. Deku goes into his out of control state, blasters being summoned everywhere, bones being shot out everywhere, and he's just throwing rubble and random items through the air, just pretty much creating like a tornado of items in the room with blasters and bones. As he's just standing there, both of his eyes are pretty much a pitch black with a faint bloodshot red glow. Very, very faint in both of his eyes. As when Monica and Toga went over to stop him, they were actually taking off the collar. And when they were done taking it off, they would calm down Deku, and they would just help him up. They had to fake put on the collar and act like it was still on. But the teachers didn't know that it was off. It just looked on to them, so they just thought it was a malfunction. After their training was over, Deku, Toga, and Monaco went to their room. As soon as they closed the door, Deku ripped off the collar and would grab onto Monica and Toga and would essentially rip off the collars off of them, and then would grab onto him, hugging him, and then teleporting out of there. After they teleported out of there, Bakugo would go up to the room to ask what was going on. As when he got there and he opened up the door, the collars were on the floor, broken, and they were gone. So now they were on high alert looking for him. Now we cut back to Deku, Toga, and Monica. As they got back to where the other League of Villain members were, they were all happy to see him, and then gave him back their normal clothes. Deku pretty much wearing the same clothes as the picture, but more like, instead of those shoes, they're more like basketball shoes, and they're more like black and red. So, as Deku got in his clothes and came out, he's seen Overhaul and Eri. Or not Overhaul, not Eri. He just seen Overhaul and his crew fighting Shigaraki's group. As Deku would teleport right in front of him, grabbing them all, everyone but Monica and Toga with the gravity manipulation, throwing them up into the air, and then slamming them onto the ground. It would ask them what they're all doing. If you guys are villains, you're supposed to be working together. Shigaraki got up, dusted himself off, and same for Chisaki, the leader of the, or Overhaul, if you prefer to call him Overhaul. They were coming to agreements, and they didn't agree at all, so they stormed off. The same injuries do happen as canon. Compress loses his arm, and Magnuma dies. Everyone's sad over the loss of Magnuma, but they have to move on. After several weeks have gone by, Deku teleports in and out of Overhaul's base without him knowing, grabbing quirk enhancement drugs, as well as quirky racing drugs, and he even got away with 3 permanent quirky racing bullets. And he also teleported into where Eri was to see what the source was. He's seen her there as Overhaul witnessed him grab Eri and teleport out of there. He would get mad, but before he could do anything, the heroes raided his base, and they attacked him. Deku with Eri teleported to UA, as he would tell Eri... No, he would keep Eri with her, as he would go to the League of Villains base with her. Monica and Toga seeing this, running over, giving her a hug, and pretty much just doting on her. They all asked, well, besides Toga and Monica, where he got the girl from. He would say this is the source of the quirk enhancement and erasement bullets. Everyone's sickened to their stomach and would want to kill Overhaul for what he did to the little girl, but they couldn't do anything, because they saw on live TV the hero raid, so they just had to ignore it. Unknown to Deku, but he felt this weird feeling in his chest, and he started convulsing to pain. Deku grabbing onto his shirt, dropping to his knees, and putting his head on the floor, just clenching his chest in pain, as Monica would walk over to Deku and worry, said with Toga, and they would just put their hand on him, trying to calm him down. Deku's eyes would flare up, and he would be just screaming in pain. Shigaraki would ask what's going on, as Monica would say, well, this is Father's doing. It must be activating. Shigaraki asks, what must be activating? What do you mean? And Monica would look up at Shigaraki and the rest of them and say, his new quirk. Father's quirk. All for one. As they were all shocked to hear that Deku was now the successor of the #1 villain in the world. His father. All for one. Deku would then get up after about 2 hours of writhing in pain, Eri walking over and hugging him, asking if he's okay. Deku patting her on the head and saying yes. Toga is saying, aw, it's like she's your daughter. Eri looked up and said, what's a daughter? As everyone was, Toga and Deku and Monica were shocked to know that she didn't know pretty much what a family was. She didn't know what a daughter was, a brother, sister, father, mother, anything like that. So they all taught her. And after she understood, she walked over to Deku, hugged him, and said, Papa. And then after she stopped hugging him, and he was still in shock, she walked over to Toga and called her Mama and gave her a hug. And then she walked over to Monica and said Auntie and gave her a hug. And yeah. Okay, so this is definitely gonna be the last part. So I'm gonna finish this off with a bang, shall we? After a few weeks have gone by after the raid of the Yakuza clan, and after the fall festival at the school, Bakugo sent a message to Deku, telling him to meet him at the beach, Tekoba Beach, to be exact. I want to finish this fight. Deku agreeing as he told Monica, Eri, and Toga to meet him to follow him to the beach. Or actually, just grab on. We'll take a shortcut. As they grab on, they teleport to the beach side as Bakugo, Todoroki, Uraraka, Kirishima, Momo, Mina, Denki, and a few others are sitting there. Oh, Tokoyami and Duple Arms guy, I forgot his name, are just sitting there waiting for him. Well, they're in the back, way behind Bakugo, as Deku just then teleports with everyone to the beach, as Eri, Toga, and Monica would just back up way farther back behind. As Deku would teleport in front of Bakugo and ask him what does he want. As Bakugo goes to throw a punch and an explosion at Deku, he dodges and teleports behind him, punching Bakugo so hard that he just goes flying into the air. And then he teleports above Bakugo as they're falling down, just looking at each other in the eyes. Deku asks, "So, you just wanted to throw a cheap punch at me to start this off now, did you?" Bakugo throwing an explosion before he hits the ground onto the floor. A giant one as a giant crater of burnt sand and glass was left behind. Deku teleporting in midair, just landing on his feet, just standing there in his hands in his pocket, saying so. The number one hero successor versus the number one villain successor. Who's gonna win? As Deku's eyes flare up into a dark crimson red, as he holds his hand out, and he closes it as these blasters summon behind him. 20, no, 25, no, 30. He's now pretty much giving it his all. Deku then opens his hand up and closes it again as they all fire. Bakugo, not knowing how to counteract this, puts his hands like he does for his AP shot, as he pretty much shouts AP shot as he opens his hand up wider than he does in canon for the AP shot, as a giant blast comes out, bigger, 4 to 5 times bigger than in canon comes out for the AP shot. As it hits the Gaster Blaster's blast head on, as the blast dissipates and the Blaster's blast dissipates, Deku's sitting there with some sweat going down his face, as he compliments Bakugo for actually putting up a good fight this time, unlike last time. Now, let's finish this off, as Deku gets a toothy grin, as some blood starts dripping out of his mouth. Bakugo looking at it and says, you know there's blood coming out of your mouth, right? Deku looks down at his mouth to see there's blood dripping down. He wipes his face off with his arm in his hand as he looks at it, closing his hand and closing it over and over again, just thinking. He's thinking about something, and then he says out loud, "So it's been that long since I've eaten human flesh, huh?" Then he looks at Bakugo and he says, "So you'll be my first meal in a month. Let's do this." as Deku gets even more stronger and stronger by the second, as he activates the enhancement quirks that he got from the quirk All for One and all the other quirks he had. 6 enhancement quirks activate, boosting his stamina, strength, speed, everything, boosted about 6 times. So as he summons 30, 40, no, 80 more blasters just come out of nowhere. Not at the same time, but in intervals after the 30 he already summoned. Bakugo pretty much playing a game of Undertale, dodging left and right. Bones were coming out of the ground, through the air, being thrown at him. Bakugo being thrown around by gravity manipulation. And when Bakugo would get close to hit Deku in the face with an explosion or a punch, Deku summons his axe and swipes up, almost hitting Bakugo every time he gets close. All the other students are just sitting there in shock as Bakugo can't even lay a finger on this kid. But he can absolutely hurt Bakugo. But he's not. Why? Monica shouts, "Come on, Deku, you have to kill him now before your energy runs out. Or before you get hurt." As Deku flares up his eyes, now glowing a bright, bright red. Almost like a Ferrari red. If you don't know how bright that is, it's about 2 times brighter than the eye color in the picture. As this red aura just comes out of both of his eyes, as he lifts his hand up in the air and says, "Fine," as these 4 to 6 giant blasters come out of the air, and these bones start raining from the sky, blue, orange, white with red on the tips of them, signifying blood, would rain down from the sky. Bakugo dodging, as he made one critical mistake. He didn't notice the blasters. As soon as he thought the barrage of bones was done, the blasters went off, hitting Bakugo, sending him into the ground, and then skidding across, landing right in front of Deku. Deku picking him up by the arm, as he would raise up the axe and says, "It's time to eat. Give me your head." As he's about to chop it down, Kirishima runs at him hardened, knocking Deku back, sending him flying through the air, into the arms of Toga and Monica. As they would say, that's a cheap shot. As Kirishima would say, so is those skull things. That was a cheaper shot. As Deku gets up, grabbing Kirishima with his gravity manipulation, lifting him up into the air and throwing him. Kirishima going about a mile down the beach, just landing in a pile of sand, unconscious. The other students saw this and they all got ready to fight. Bakugo got up ready to fight again. As they were all getting ready, Deku had enough. He went into his berserk mode, grabbing everyone with gravity manipulation besides Bakugo, throwing him to the ground, and bones piercing through him, skewering him like a kebab, bleeding out all over the place, all over the bones, all over the floor, dead instantly. As then he would grab Bakugo, sending him flying towards him. Then he would just hold him still, as he raises the axe up and says, "Time to eat." As Monica would say, "Wait." Deku would hold his arm still right before it chops his head off. Monica says, "Why don't you grab his quirk first, or his quirks?" Deku would say, "Fine, sister. Which one do you want?" She would say, "I kinda like the explosions. So can I have those, please?" He would say, "Sure," as he would take Bakugo's quirks. Bakugo is still conscious for the last second, as Deku swings down, cutting his head off. Blood spewing everywhere as his lifeless body just flops to the floor. Eri went up and hugged Deku and says, "Good job, Papa, you survived." As he hugs Eri and says, "Thank you, Eri." Toga going around and collecting the blood from all the other students, as Kirishima would wake up, shocked, as Deku would notice this, grabbing him with gravity manipulation, sending him flying to him, and him just holding him there, saying that he failed as a hero, and you failed as a friend and student to these others. It's time for you to join him, as he stabs him through the gut with multiple bones, pretty much almost ripping him in half as he just lets him go with gravity manipulation, as his body sinks down lower and lower on the bones, blood dripping down him and just sliding down to the bottom of the bones, hitting the ground. As Deku would have a sigh of relief and looks at Monica, Toga, and Eri as he says, "Yeah, let's go to a new country. I think we're going to be wanted here for a while," as he grabs onto them and they teleport to a new country, living the rest of their life out as a happy family. And that's where I'm going to end it. I hope you guys enjoyed the the last episode of What If Jacob Was Horror Stands. This was a fun collab with Ravenclaw What If. Also, I want to say congratulations on hitting 200 subscribers. It's really fun doing collabs with you, and I hope we can do more in the future. But I'm gonna post this video after I record the Kaioken video, Lelouch episode, which the Lelouch episode is gonna be the final, and it's gonna be about an hour long. So I hope you guys stick around for that, and maybe a couple more videos. I'm not sure. I may just do those 3, but actually no, I'm gonna do boosted. I'm gonna do the Technopath as well. So maybe. I hope you guys enjoy. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Go subscribe to Ravenclaw What If you guys want to hear some good what ifs, and if you want to see the collab we did together. Also, Nightmare Sans What If. We're still talking, and we're trying to figure out if it's going to be a collab or not. The next video on either of our channels will tell. But either way, I hope you guys enjoy. Like, comment, subscribe if you want, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.